We go back to Raffi. She's drinking her wine straight from the bottle, and she's sitting on this like box or utility box or something out near her house. Picard comes up to her, and he's admitting he's wrong. He's basically saying, I know, I was a jerk. You know, you have total right to be mad at me. You know, and even though he validates her rage towards him, she still says, I don't care. You know, and it's like, that's fine, because, you know, she totally deserves to be mad at him.
Mm-hmm.
He starts talking about what he needs to do and what he wants to do, and he sits next to her, and he's just like, I need you to help me. You see things that other people don't see. And there's a little bit of her, she was like, it's not that I just see things, it's not like ghosts. It's like, I have evidence of things, you know. But I still think there's some truth into what he's saying, because she noticed things and then did her research, you know. But she's just kind of like, well, I didn't just come up with it, you know, almost like she's not taking credit for actually figuring out something was happening and then being able to prove that it was happening. You know, he's like telling her, he's like, the Tal Shiar are on Earth and they're doing these things and you were right, you know. So it's like, what a way to try to get back into a woman's good graces by telling her she's right. Even though she was.
So true.
Yeah. But he definitely thinks they have to be working with the Federation for any of this to happen, because how have they been doing most of these things without anybody knowing? You know, the Federation, if they weren't working with them, they would have gotten rid of them a long time ago. You know, gave them the boot off the planet. But you know, the only thing he can come up with is that they're working together, and I think he's right. And, you know, she was right a long time ago thinking that. So, you know, he pleads with her again, wanting her to help him. She says no, and she tells him to leave, and as he's walking away, she's like, hey, I've got a captain for you. His name is Rios. He'll get in touch with you. So then he leaves. Then we go to the Daystrom Institute in Okinawa. We have this opera music playing. Like, I thought this was sort of an interesting thing. It was like, you hear this opera music playing, and, you know, I've seen this done in other things, but not necessarily Star Trek, I don't think. But, and it's actually because that's what Dr. Girardi is hearing. She's got her earbuds in. I thought that was cute, because she's sitting there eating her lunch and listening to her music and looking out, you know, and she gets startled by, oh. It's like, oh, oh, yes, that's me. No, I'm kidding. Sorry, that's a terrible joke.
Well, she may have gotten startled by those sunglasses.
Right. So, yes. So, like, Commodore walks up. I'm, like, trying to say all these words at once. Commodore O walks up, and she's wearing these sunglasses, and I never noticed her ears sticking out that far, and then I'm like, is it made worse by the sunglasses? Like, she's wearing a Starfleet uniform. The sunglasses can't be a disguise.
Yeah, it was a weird addition to her look, and I didn't understand it. No. But I rolled with it.
Like, it looks like, to me, like, you could put a little, like, hat on her, and she would be perfect on, like, one of those Christmas cards with, like, cool elves or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, jeez. But, I wrote, it seems more like a character choice to conceal her identity other than the sun being too bright, and newsflash, it doesn't work. That's what I wrote, because it doesn't.
It was like she was auditioning for the Blues Brothers or something. It was a weird choice.
Blues Brothers 3000.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, she's too conspicuous. Anyway. So she's all like, so tell me about these meetings you had with Picard, you know. And of course, we're like, dun dun dun. And Girardi's just kind of like, oh, you know, and so we don't know what's happening then. But of course, we do coming up. We go back to the Borg cube, and Hugh takes Soji in to meet Ramda. Well, the guard out there is like, oh, she needs clearance. And, Hugh's the executive director. They're telling him that she needs clearance. He's like, I give the clearance so she could come in, basically. Like, this is where he gets like, hey, I'm in charge. Whereas back when he was a Borg, he's like, I guess I could be a leader. So they go in. The room is full of the Romulans XBs. So we've got one like drawing these little characters or writing words or something. We've got one that's like doing a Rubik's Cube or something, and I'm like, they're on a cube. He's doing a cube. And then one that I said was like interpretive dancing, because she's doing this like little weird dance. Yes, even the dog has a lot to say about that.
It was a good scene.
Yeah, no, it's cool. And like they're, murmuring and stuff in the background and all that kind of thing. And then we see Ramda, and she's got these cards that we find out are sort of like tarot cards. It's like she wasn't playing solitaire or something over there. So Soji goes over to her and says hello. Then we go back to Rafi. She is smoking while she's on her computer, and she gets a call from Picard, who asks if she's researching. And he sends her all his intel on Maddox, and she's like, I don't want it. Just, He hangs up real quick after that, and she's just sort of annoyed with him, and she goes back to doing whatever she was doing, researching or ordering, kitchen gadgets, while she's high on her little vape pen.
She might be. You never.
I don't know, yeah. Oh, for anybody who heard... Before, we had the pig toy. The dog is back with the pig toy.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry. I don't get to mute as much as I did last week.
Okay. No worries.
All right. The next scene, we see this big, shiny ship. It seems pretty large and empty when we see the inside. Picard beams on, and he calls out for Captain Rios. He's then greeted by a bearded Englishman, and he looks like Santiago Cabrera, who is Rios, but we're not sure if he's Rios at the moment, and come to find out, he is an emergency medical hologram, because he leads Picard to the bridge, where Rios is there with a gigantic piece of shrapnel sticking out of his shoulder.
So, can we just talk about that's titanium, which is what they build starships out of? Like, how did that happen?
Well, that's a big question, but also, what kind of a person makes themselves the emergency hologram?
Right? You can design it however you like now, apparently.
Yeah, but you choose yourself?
That's pretty vain.
Like a cleaned up version of himself, because, his hair's all over the other one, his hair's all combed nicely and neatly. And then he has the English accent and all that kind of stuff. When he's Rios, he's got a Spanish accent. He's smoking a cigar, which to me was weirder than the vape pen. Because a vape pen seems vaguely technological compared to an actual cigar.
Yeah, like, was that like a real cigar? I can't imagine that was like some holographic or replicated cigar that didn't have any actual tobacco in it. Yeah, this is, again, like a really odd, just different, I should say, not odd, but just different for Star Trek, because very famously, Gene Roddenberry refused to allow smoking on the original series. He didn't want cigarette companies even advertising, because he felt like in the future we would have moved beyond that. So it is interesting to me that this is a bit of a deviation from kind of what you think of as like established Star Trek.
Well, there's also that, but there's also the two characters that we've seen vaping or smoking have been two people that have left Starfleet disgusted by Starfleet. And I wonder if there's a reason behind their choosing to have them smoke.
I was going to say, that's what I was thinking, is that they were, it's like when I used to say that I was like a recovering Catholic. I didn't do things the same way as I did when I had to go to Catholic school and Catholic church, So it's like, oh, well, they're not in Starfleet anymore, so they're like, I'm going to do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally see that as a choice to be like, well, yeah, I'm not in Starfleet anymore, so now I can smoke, or now I can do these things that I didn't do before. Yeah, I'm on board with that. I believe that.
It just feels very not Starfleet,
Mm-hmm.
but again, it's because it's not Starfleet. These people that are smoking are not a part of Starfleet.
True. We actually see the EMH later, and he has an Irish accent, and we'll get to that. But I made a note that Cabrera grew up in London, and he started the Three Musketeers, or the Musketeers, not the Three Musketeers. So, he definitely picked up that English accent from experience. But he also speaks Italian and French, so that's kind of exciting that maybe if we see it again, it'll have a different accent. And then maybe there will be an American accent too. Who knows? It would be great. I don't know why. I'm just so amused by it. I just love it. It's like if he's going to make it look like himself, it might as well have different accents every time. But Picard asks him what happened, because he's got this piece of titanium or whatever. What is it? Is that what it is? That just seemed wrong. Sticking out of his shoulder. Huh? Tritanium. I was like, that just seemed wrong. And he's like, I didn't die. Oh, so we kind of get an idea of what kind of guy Rios is, between the smoking and having the hologram look like him. It's just like, all right. And the hologram asks for a med kit, so it appears. So it's trying to fix his arm. Well, then he asks for some alcohol. Because he's going to drink, by golly. He offers some to Picard, who says no. And, I kind of wish he was like, oh, no, I have a vineyard. I have better stuff. But even though. So he has Picard sit down, and they're kind of talking about the trip and what they're going to do. And they don't really know where they're going to go. Are they going to do anything illegal? And Picard's like, I don't usually consult lawyers first, which is true, which is part of the reason why I think that he was surprised that they took his resignation, because he always does whatever he wants and then asks for forgiveness later, kind of thing. Like, he just assumed they'd let him do what he wanted, like they always do, and they didn't. The EMH goes to get the dermal regenerator out, which I thought was great, because Rebecca remembered the name of that the other day. and Rios is just like, just get out of here, give that to me. He's just tired of it's like, it looks like you had to have done this. Why are you so frustrated with it? And before it goes, it tells Picard he never gets any nicer.
That was pretty funny. I enjoyed that moment.
Yeah, it was pretty great. And then, Picard's just like, duly noted. So apparently Rios had been an XO of a heavy cruiser. What is an XO? I did not know what that was. I didn't look it up.
Commanding officer.
Oh! Yeah, okay, gotcha.
I believe that XO is.
That makes sense.
Oh, hold on. Now I'm doubting myself. Pretty sure it's commanding officer.
Okay. I mean, that would make sense for many reasons. I mean, one, it said that he was a commanding officer in the synopsis. So, it said he is served on a ship called the Ibn Majad, and its existence has been completely deleted by Starfleet. Maybe we'll find out what happened there. Maybe we won't. I don't know.
So, sorry, just a quick note here. According to Google, the term XO is actually the officer who is second in command. So it's the executive officer. So just like Riker was the first officer, he would have been the first officer. So
Gotcha.
There's a correction there for you right away.
Gotcha. I don't know anything about that kind of stuff, so thank you for looking it up.
Either. I made an assumption that XO meant commanding officer.
It worked. Picard is all like, oh, I don't have any ties with Starfleet anymore, but I could smell Starfleet on you, kind of thing. I guess because he keeps a tight ship, it's because he's used to it from Starfleet, is basically what Picard is saying. And, Rios is just trying to ignore him. And he says that I said that he plays it off as if he doesn't care and plays like he's just too cool. Which he really kind of did.